this time for something completely different. So, because of these one-time events and because it's part of the weekly challenges, I bought an Avantime and I drove it in this circuit with circuit Alsace village, uh, and I ended up really enjoying the car. So initially I tuned it a little bit just to make sure I won it easily, just but not spending a lot of money. But then I really enjoy the car, and I found myself upgrading it more and more to the point where now it has pretty much everything relevant, I would say, um, for the level I'm at, because I'm at collector level 43, so I don't have access to ultimate. So from the extreme, I went for carbon ceramic discs, racing. So pretty much everything in here that makes a difference. Don't need this because I have the carbon ceramic. Um, Fully customizable suspension, clutch and flywheel, racing transmission, racing soft tires. From here, crankshaft, computer, high RPM turbocharger. So basically everything in here that could give me any benefit is in there as well. Oh, I forgot the high lift camshaft because I stroked up and it bore up. I completely forgot this tab. Okay, let's do it. Right, and it's significant. Sometimes I ignore these lower tabs, sports and club sports. I wonder where else I missed. So I definitely missed the high lift camshaft as well. High compression pistons. Power and responsiveness doesn't look like it. Maybe because with the turbo it won't make a difference? You know what? I'll do it anyways. From here, I don't think there's anything here that is useful. Nope. So now, I don't think I've missed anything. No, semi-racing. I already have the racing silencer. Yeah, so... Yep, I think that's it. Alright, so now I'm left with... Let me check again. 448 brake horsepower Avantime with reduced to 1200 kilos from some initial 1600 or 1500, can't remember for sure. And I'm going to drive it in the Nürburgring because I enjoyed it so much. And I really enjoy the handling. I just randomly, so basically for that track, I went with as low a suspension as I could, so not sure that'll work here. Right, 5 laps is a bit too much, I'm a bit tired, so I'll go just for 2. 2 should be enough too. Well, yeah, I'll commit to 2 laps, about 20 minutes probably. What's the time? Well, you know what, 3 laps. Right, usual settings. No damage or tire wear. Yeah, all good. And now I'm curious about what kind of car mix the game will throw at it. I really like the car mixes that Gran Turismo 7 does. A friend of mine, he plays Assetto Corsa and is really puzzled about what Gran Turismo throws in the mix, but I really like it. So, oh wow, a Huyara 13. That's the same performance level. Wow, okay. Something tells me this will be hard. Now, a few changes. So, in here, racing soft, ultimate grip. I increased downforce to the maximum. I'll leave it at that, but probably I should reduce it a bit. But no, I'll leave it for, you know what, reduce it a bit because ultimately a bit more speed would be nice. So let's put it at say 170. Ah, okay, let's be bold. 160, why not? And in here, well, I can't remember how this was originally. So let me check. Originally it was 150/60, which is there, so a bit more in the back compared to the front. Let's go for 140 to maybe 60, 150, so a difference of 90. It's a big difference. Okay, let's try 220, 140. This is four-wheel drive though, isn't it? Yeah, four-wheel drive. Well, I'll just try it and see what happens. Now top speeds, maybe 270. So this now has 448 horsepower to 1200 kilos. Let's try 280. Well, let's see if it works. Because the other track was much slower, so I reduced the gear radius. Let's see how it's like. Brakes are decent. Well, feels good so far. I was wondering if I lowered the suspension too much for the Nürburgring, but I don't think so. I think it's okay. Huh. These cameras, because this is a monovolume body, you can barely see the bonnet. Right. I was wondering if I was in the usual view. So McLaren F1. Nah, for real. It's a bit ridiculous now. Sometimes this game can be a bit funny. I mean, performance of a McLaren F1 compared to this is much higher. Okay, I think the game is kind of simulating poor drivers, but still, that's a bit ridiculous. Giving F1s a bad name, which they don't deserve. Ooh, okay, yeah. More downforce would have been useful. And maybe suspension is too hard. I think I went too far with a 280 for the gearbox. Wait on. No, this is ridiculous. What? I'm going to out-accelerate a Veyron? Is that it? Nah, come on. What's happening here? I mean, even with the worst driver in the world, I just need to push the pedal. In a straight line. Maybe they're afraid of the of the Avantime because it's so bulky and tall. Some very weird programming of these computer-controlled drivers. That's a tight pack. Ah, these are a bit faster. Finally. Oosh, 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 oosh. I need all the slipstream I can get. Thank you. It's like I'm driving an off-roader compared to these really low sports cars. I'm the tallest in the group, by far. Wow. I wonder if it's even possible to stack them up closer. This pack. Ah, man. Thank you, Miss Bugatti. Very kind of you. Grazie mille. Andiamo. Ah. Andiamo. I'm really looking forward for a bit of open roads to properly test this car. But the handling is really good. I think with a bit more fine-tuning of downforce, could be and suspension is potentially could be very interesting. I don't know. It's actually kind of the first time that I get so amazed with a car that is not sporty at all out of the box, to the point that I spend time tuning it and driving it for pleasure instead of just to complete some objective in Gran Turismo. Yeah, very good. Now, why this car is keeping up with these kind of cars is completely inexplicable to me. This is just unreal. In theory, it shouldn't have like what, 500 horsepower? Not even that. The ultimate Q car, well, not Q car with all this aero, but very unlikely performance car. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I should have aimed for probably 250. Wow, handles magnificently. Huh. Okay, now I'm actually curious what kind of time I'll be able to do with this car if I get a clean lap. The Huyada I was so afraid of. all of a sudden, I'm much faster. Oh man. Of course, now you go away because you're faster, yeah. And you'll brake a lot for that corner? Yes. Okay. That's sorted. Yeah. That was a problem. Right, I thought I could do it, but I have to slow much more in there. Yep, that's what happens when you start pushing it. And you haven't had much sleep, you're a bit tired, and you're not focused. Yeah, like when you want to press the button for a rear view mirror and you go down one gear. I wonder what cars we have there. Porsche? I think the blue one is a Porsche. Ah, no, a roof, yep. GT Black Series. Oof. Whoa. Wait. A problem I have sometimes where my soundbar turns off and I lose image for a second because the TV is changing to speakers. Alright. Luckily, I managed to pause it. Luckily it wasn't during your turn. And I managed to quickly pause it and recover without crashing. For the first time driving it in the Nürburgring, it's a circuit I know reasonably well, getting better at it progressively. It's my favorite circuit, but still, to be so comfortable with the car in on the second lap. Okay, still making lots of mistakes. It's not a clean lap, but still, it's the second lap. It's pretty good. If you want to try these settings, you can just freeze the image when I was going through the settings. I changed a lot in the suspension. Anti-roll bars are at 9 out of 10, I believe. Suspension is at its minimum ride heights. Damping and the two, damping and the other, I can't remember. They are almost at the maximum as well. But yeah, this works out pretty well. What I would change, and will if and I'll probably will race this car again on the Nürburgring. I'll change the gear ratio because I'm not hitting the rev limiter in 6th, and I should. So yeah, well, not hit the rev limiter. I like to leave just a little bit in case I get some slipstream. Yeah, so here 4th gear, 5th, and then I noticed that at the ends of the straight, when it starts going up, if I shift to 6th, it's actually worse. It can't hold it. So if I shift to 6th now, instead of gaining speed, I'm losing speed. So yeah, definitely need to have a lower ratio. Now through here, yes, amazing. How can the car this big behave so well? Granted that the money I spent in the upgrades is like the equivalent of 2 times the car is new or even more, but still, I'm really impressed. Okay, no traction control. For a moment I thought that traction control was on, but no. Yeah. A bit more downforce in there would help. Or just slow down. Right. This time I won't even drive 6th gear because it just ain't worth it. Look at that. What a racing car. What a beast. Not a people carrier at all. Wow. This is so fun. Well, 16 here because it was downhill. Alright. Sorry, I scratched you all over. You don't deserve this. Such a nice car. Right, that was fun. I know. I'm actually going to do it again. Not now, but at some point. And 705. 705 is quite impressive. Wow, this car is. I never had so much fun with modifying what you never think of as a sports car. That was brilliant. Alright, so let me save the replay. I'm going to leave you with the replay in case you want to watch from a third-person view. And yeah. I'll be back when this finishes.